If you're part of the non-monogamous community, then you probably know that polyamory is misunderstood at best. As much as we complain, myself included, about people believing frustrating myths, the reasoning behind believing those myths actually makes a lot of sense. Despite ranging from misguided to outright wrong, it's pretty understandable why people believe these things. In this video, I will not just be complaining about polyamory myths, but talking about why they're so widespread. And hey, if you're monogamous, stick around. This video might help you understand your polyamorous friends a little bit better. Let's get into it with myth number 1. Polyamory is just cheating with permission. People have very different definitions of cheating, and that's why people believe this myth. In a monogamous relationship, cheating is usually anything outside exclusive intimacy with your one partner. By being intimate with others, you are going outside of your monogamous relationship boundaries. And that's really what the core of cheating is, violating relationship boundaries without consent or permission. With that in mind, you can see how cheating with permission becomes kind of a nonsensical phrase. The entire point of cheating is that you're not allowed to do something. So if you have permission to do it, then it can't be cheating. Think about cheating on a test in school. Usually, using your book is cheating, but if the test is open book, then it's not cheating because it's not violating the rules of the test. Intimacy by itself is not cheating if it doesn't violate the boundaries of your relationships. Myth number 2. Polyamory is the same as polygamy. I get quite a few comments on my content that use the word polygamy instead of polyamory. Why is this such a common mix-up? It's because polygamy is one of the most well-known forms of non-monogamy in mainstream culture. Growing up, I had never heard the word polyamory, but I definitely knew the word polygamy. Both are forms of non-monogamy. The key difference is that polygamy specifically means having multiple spouses. To add to the confusion, when people use the word polygamy, they often mean polygyny, which is specifically one man with multiple wives. Polygyny? Is that how you say that?
Polygyny.
There you go. In addition to the difference in textbook definitions, there are also huge cultural differences. In the United States, if you say the word polygamy, most people think of religious sects, specifically Mormonism. There are a lot of cultural norms with that connotation that the polyamorous community just doesn't really vibe with. If you're liking the video so far, please give that like button a quick tap to help me with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks. Myth number 3. Polyamory is all about sex. This is probably the most widespread and believed myth on the list. In monogamous relationships, sex is viewed as the most intimate thing you can do, and therefore one of the most exclusive things you have with your partner. So naturally, if someone doesn't want to be in just one relationship, they must want to go out and have sex with as many different kind of people as possible, right? The short answer is that polyamory is much more about relationships than sex, but it is a little trickier than that. I could say that polyamory isn't about sex at all, but that's just not true. Regardless of monogamy or polyamory, sex is a very important part of relationships for a lot of people. The truth is that sex is a valid motivator for wanting multiple relationships. But it's not the entirety of a relationship, and that's what polyamory is really about. Multiple relationships regardless of the role that sex plays in those relationships. Myth number 4. Polyamorous people just can't commit and their relationships aren't real. I'm putting these two in the same section because they really follow the same reasoning. In monogamy, commitment and exclusivity are often used synonymously. Likewise, the exclusivity is one of the main things that makes a monogamous relationship feel real. Even though they're closely intertwined in monogamy, exclusivity and commitment are not the same thing. Commitment in a relationship means that you're dedicated to being with that person, that you want a more long-term relationship with them, and that doesn't require exclusivity. The myth that polyamory people just can't commit is pretty ironic considering a lot of us are committed to multiple people. We don't have a lack of commitment, we have an abundance of it. Myth number 5. Polyamorous people want to date all of their friends. We may not be monogamous, but we are very aware that we live in a monogamy-dominated world. As with other forms of non-monogamy, polyamorous do tend to blur the line between friends and intimate partners, but that doesn't mean we expect the same of others. Even if we do want to date a monogamous person, we respect other people's relationship boundaries. Let that last sentence serve as a reminder to you, fellow polyamorists. Do not coerce people into polyamory, no matter how much you want a relationship with them. Also, ability does not imply desire. Just like a single monogamous person, just because we have the ability to seek relationships does not mean we want to date everyone we see. Myth number 6. Polyamorous people think monogamy is bad. This myth stems from an us versus them mentality. When someone sees something outside of their own bubble, the knee-jerk reaction is that they must be at odds with that thing. But that's not the case at all. But Chad, you criticize monogamy all the time. I don't tend to criticize monogamy as a whole. When I'm being critical, it's about specific traits or behaviors that usually go along with monogamy. We can discuss and criticize parts of things without saying those things are inherently bad as a whole. I will admit there is some truth to this myth. I've certainly seen people say that monogamy is a bad thing. The reasons usually have to do with the origins of monogamy being about patriarchal ownership. It's a worthy topic of discussion, but I don't think it means that monogamy in its current form is inherently bad. Most polyamorous have a live and let live mentality about it. If monogamy is for you, then great. It works for you, and it doesn't work for other people. Different strokes for different folks. Myth number 7. If you're polyamorous, you'll get a bunch of STIs. This myth comes from what seems like a logical place. The more sexual partners you have, the higher your risk of STIs. And if you also believe the myth that polyamory is all about sex, then of course you're going to draw the conclusion that polyamorous people must all have a ton of STIs. But what that logic doesn't take into account is that the polyamorous community values openness, honesty, sex positivity, and safe sex. And safe sex just really isn't that difficult. Most polyamorous people also don't have the wildly high number of sexual partners that people believe they do. This myth is also deeply rooted in fear and terrible sex education. Even if an STI is contracted, most of them are not the horrible sex life-ending nightmares that people believe they are. Most STIs are curable and temporary, or at least far more manageable than people believe. That's not to say you shouldn't have safe sex. You absolutely should. But it helps to understand the realities of STIs instead of the boogeymen they're often portrayed as. The reason the polyamorous community isn't rampant with STIs is because we know all of this and have a willingness to talk about it. No matter your relationship structure, be responsible and practice safe sex. Myth number 8. Polyamorous people are just greedy. People believe this because in monogamy, one person should be enough. And if you want more than that, you're either with the wrong person or you're just greedy. This also stems from a scarcity mindset. If you're in a monogamous relationship, that person is unavailable to anyone else. So if you're dating multiple people, it's seen as you taking them away from everyone else. Hence the idea that we're greedy. But this is not how polyamory works. The entire point of polyamory is that being in a relationship with someone does not make you unavailable to be in relationships with other people. For the most part, if we have multiple partners, we expect our partners to have that same freedom. Sure, part of a relationship is expecting time and attention from someone, but that doesn't have to take away their ability to see others. Myth number 9. People are only polyamorous until they find the one. Obviously, one of the main goals of monogamy is to find the one person that you want to be with forever. And that's why people believe this myth, because it's just monogamy. Honestly, I don't have anything else to say about this one. It's just monogamy. Like I said before, there are certainly reasons why people believe myths about polyamory. People are not stupid for believing these things. We are all part of a heavily monogamy-focused society. If all of the information you have about polyamory comes from other monogamous people, then of course you're going to believe myths about it. If you're polyamorous, try to be understanding of monogamous people believing these things, even if it's frustrating or hurtful. And if you're monogamous, I hope this video helped paint a clear picture of what polyamory really is. If you found this video useful, there's a whole lot more to come, so hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to get notified when I post. And if you like this hoodie I've been wearing the whole time, be sure to check out my shop link in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, peace.